So if we're given the fact that we know the cosine ratio for a certain angle and we have to find the tangent ratio, that means we need to find out some information. So we know that the cosine is the relationship between the opposite side and the hypotenuse. Sorry, not opposite, adjacent. Oh my goodness. Adjacent and hypotenuse. So we can draw a triangle, a right triangle, where the hypotenuse is 30 units long, and if this is angle A, this side is 7 units long. Okay, because the cosine is a ratio of two sides of your triangle. So we're going to assume that it's already reduced as much as possible. Now, if I want to know what the tangent is, that means I first need to know this, the opposite side. Because the tangent relates the opposite side to the adjacent side. And since we already know adjacent, we have to calculate opposite. So to do that, we use our good old buddy Pythagoras. 30 squared equals the opposite side squared plus 7 squared. So 30 squared is, of course, 900. That's not bad. We'll just call this x for now. Plus 49. So we'll subtract 49 from both sides, and this becomes 851. Which means that side is exactly the square root of 851. Which, of course, your calculator can tell you as a decimal, but we don't really care about that right now. We just need to know that that is 851. So if I'm going to write down the tangent ratio, the tangent of angle A is the opposite side, which is root 851, over the adjacent side, which is 7. Okay, which is a perfectly awesome answer. If you want to decimalize that, or your teacher wants you to decimalize that, then go ahead and use a calculator. Okay, on number 11, we know that you have a right triangle with the right angle at C. So let's draw this. My right angle is called angle C, which means the other two corners are A and B, which really doesn't matter which one you put where. We know that AC is 20 units long, and we want to know what is the length of AB, okay, the hypotenuse. So there's two ways that we could do this. We could calculate this angle right here. We know that the cosine is 4/5. So we could calculate that angle measure if that's what you want to do, which is a perfectly fine way to do it. Or we could use the ratio. So 4/5 is the ratio comparing which two sides of our triangle? Comparing the adjacent side to the hypotenuse. So when I compare the adjacent side to the hypotenuse, I get 4/5 as my reduced ratio. So I can set up a proportion. I know my adjacent side is actually 20 units long. And I want to figure out what my hypotenuse is. Okay, so we don't have to actually use any trig or your calculator in order to figure out the length of the hypotenuse. We simply need to cross multiply. 4x equals 100, so x is 25. So sometimes when they give you a ratio and an actual side length, you can set up a proportion to figure out missing stuff.